You're listening to the 808s and Joysticks podcast, now available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Let's go!
Welcome to the second episode of 808s and Joysticks, the show that bridges the gap between games and music seasoned with pop culture. I'm Tairell, and joining me today, as always, is Tom.
This week's been quite a busy week, especially with that Nintendo Direct that did come. So this episode is purely going to be a Nintendo Direct special, as we've got a lot of games to get through, and a lot of really interesting things that Nintendo did announce. So, starting from that, Kirby All-Stars is the game that is coming out next week. It will be. And I have already played the demo of that because I have a Switch. So my opinion on that game is it's really enjoyable. I do like the mechanics where you can have like a party of 4 and you're able to play local co-op with up to 4 friends as well. But you can play it through single player and have the computer controlling your party for you. I like the fact that you can get enemies. Basically, you befriend enemies by throwing a heart at them, and then they join your team to defeat others. However, there's one thing that I did feel about this game is that when you are playing it, it does feel like if you're playing it on your own, the computer's doing a lot of the work for you, and you're just sort of walking through the levels. I must say I did play the demo, so that's like the first level and a boss, and the boss was harder than the level, but I'm guessing as the game you gradually go through the game, I'm guessing the difficulty gradually increases with it. But what are your opinions on Kirby All-Stars or Star Allies? I should say.
Kirby All-Stars Allies seems to be like a pretty good game. Obviously, Kirby is a very lovable character. It's very fun. I know people always try and say, Nintendo, they haven't shied away from its like typical type of releases of like trying to release like kid games, but as we'll discuss about this direct, this is not a system just for young kids or anything like that. Like it is a system, it's an all-round system for everyone. And I think Kirby Star Allies looks really fun, looks enjoyable. I like the co-op aspect. I don't have a Switch, but I am looking to get one very soon. And I would definitely pick this up for the Switch, especially for the co-op aspect, because I just like things like that. I just like co-op games that you can play with your friends, and you can pay through. Can you pay for the story mode co-op?
Yeah, the whole of the game is co-op with up to 4 people.
Okay, that's really cool.
Including yourself.
That's very cool. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, Kirby. That's something that we'll pick up. I'll probably not like straight away though. Like it's not like an immediate thing for me to get. But say for example, like I wanted a new game to play. That is definitely like one that I would pick up because it just looks fun. And it's like something I would play like on my off chance. But a game that I would really like to play is Mario Tennis, which is surprisingly, I was quite surprised by this. I didn't think the game was going to be that great, because I thought it's another like Mario Sport like type game, but it looks really cool, and boasts a very like cool roster. The fans were screaming out for Waluigi. He's in there. Just a bunch of people, and I heard they're gonna add new characters along the way. Yeah, it just looks really cool. What do you think about Mario Tennis Aces, Tom?
So, when it was first announced, I wondered what the game would be, and then I saw the story aspect of it, and I think it's something that I've not really seen in like a tennis game before, especially a Mario Tennis game where you've got like boss battles, but you fight them with mechanics to do with tennis. I find it really interesting that that's a thing. And I never had a Wii U, but I know Mario Tennis Ultra Smash was on Wii U, and it was an okay game, I think. But this Mario Tennis Aces really looks like something I would pick up and just play single player, multiplayer. It's got everything that I think I would play. it looks very similar to Wii Sports Tennis. Nintendo seem to keep that aspect for a lot of their sports games. They seem to use a lot of the stuff they used with the Mii's in Wii Sports. But the fact that you can have single player in this, multiplayer, you could play co-op sort of, so you could have like, I don't know, two of you playing against the computer. It just seems like it's got a lot to it for a game that basically revolves around tennis. It is coming on June 22nd, so it's not their sort of flagship early year game. That was Kirby, but I think bang in the middle of the year, this is going to be their biggest game that they push. So I think it's their flagship game for this year. And whilst that's maybe not ideal because it is a sports-based game for some people, there are still other games that are coming.
I don't know. It's funny you would say that it's their flagship game for this year, but we do know that Smash Bros is coming this year, so I feel like that's going to be their big flagship game of this year. But I feel like Mario Tennis Aces is their kind of like mid-year release, which is still big because it's a Mario title.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's not like a flagship because Smash Bros is going to be the one that that's a system seller, as they say in it. So but Mario Tennis Aces there. Carry on.
Yeah, so Smash Bros is going to be the big game, but I think Mario Tennis Aces is going to be that one where they're, like you said, mid-year game, but it's a big Nintendo game that is mid-year. So they've got Kirby, Mario, and then they're going to have Smash Bros. So that's 3 games. Hoping Pokemon comes near Christmas, but we'll wait and see on that. I don't hold that much hope anymore, but
doubt it. I feel like Pokemon will come out next year now. I really feel like they'll probably also do their own like direct, which is just focused on Pokemon as well. And I feel like that will probably come out at E3. This is just purely speculation on my end, but that's what I feel right now.
Well, that's why I think
Nintendo,
that's why I think it might come out at the end of this year, because if they release it something about it at E3, Pokemon games normally come quite close after. I don't know if we've mentioned this before. We may have mentioned this on an earlier podcast, but we're sort of veering off the topic. But if Pokemon does come, as a Switch owner, I'd be very happy. Something else that is coming though, that they did announce a release date for in this Direct. It was known about before, but they announced a release date, and that's Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which is a Wii U port. I played the game a little bit. I think we both played the game together or witnessed the game together a little bit. But I'm quite looking forward to this. It's a game that I think I'm really going to enjoy playing. It's just sort of typical Nintendo platformer. Although I'm not looking to pay £40-50 for it. I'll probably wait. It's not something that I'll buy on release. But it's definitely a game, if I had a Switch and the money to spare, I'd probably pick it up to play every now and then.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it's Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Like, it's not. I haven't really got that much of appeal for it, to be honest. Like, but I don't have a Switch. I don't have a Wii U, and like, it's just not something I'm really particularly interested in. But I can see why people would be excited about it. Yeah, and it's coming out. It is coming out shortly, isn't it? When is it? April 6th? I feel like it's April the 6th.
It's April 5th, sorry. Yeah, April 5th.
April 5th.
I don't know what I was looking at. I was looking straight at the date and just completely not there. But yeah, coming out April 5th, that is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, the Wii U port.
Yes, DK. I wonder if he's actually going to be like in the next Smash Bros. Like like the roster for that. Like nobody knows what character's going to be there. Well, of course Donkey Kong's going to be in there, but what about like his whole family? Because I know Diddy Kong's in there as well. Maybe they might put the entire cast in there. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But another game that was also announced, a classic title from the PS2 era, Okami, was announced for the Switch, which has been remastered again. I'm not sure if this will be in the same vein as a PlayStation 3 remaster or um they've redone it for the Nintendo Switch. But by the looks of it, I know the mechanics have been redone to make sure it fits with the Nintendo Switch. So that's really interesting and that's really exciting. What do you think about Akami? Have you ever actually played the game, Tom?
So I've not actually ever been able to play Akami. I never had it on PS2, and then I didn't have a PS3, so I didn't get to play the remaster. I was looking to pick it up on my PS4. However, now it's come to Switch, and they've revamped a few of the controls to work in certain ways with the Switch's Joy-Cons. I think I might wait and pick it up on Switch, because while it is cheap on PlayStation, I feel like it's a game that you could play portably as well. It's
Yeah,
not
definitely.
too heavy, and it's quite aesthetically pleasing, and I think it's something that I think it goes well with the Switch. I think it's something that is it's not Zelda-like art style, but it's got a sort of feel like that. People may describe it like that, and I feel like it fits within more Nintendo than PlayStation because of all the bright colors with the art style. So I definitely think it's something that is a good move by Nintendo to allow that on the eShop at some point in the summer. And I definitely think a lot of people will buy Okami on a Nintendo Switch rather than another console.
Yeah, well, Akami was also on the Wii as well. I think that was also kind of like revamped to work with like well with the Wii. Akami is a really old game, but it just goes to show like how long that game, like the longevity of the game, it can get re-released so many times because it is literally a timeless game. Art style, story, gameplay has really been unmatched. So yeah, I'm really excited actually to see that and see the way how it's going to play on the Switch. Hopefully, we'll have a Switch by then, and I'll be able to play Akami. Um, Moving on, South Park is getting released on the Switch, which I don't know. Did we see this coming? I'm not quite sure.
I
Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't, to be honest. I considered it, but because of the fact that it's quite a graphic game and it's got a lot of crude references and foul language, and it's an 18. I didn't really see it coming to something like the Switch as much because of that. But fair play to Nintendo, they've allowed that onto their console, and I think it'll work well on a Switch as well because it's not too heavy on graphics, but it's got quite sort of turn-based gameplay with their combat system in it. I think it's something
yeah,
you could easily pick up and play. You'll probably have to put headphones in if you are playing it on the go, but it's nice that Nintendo are allowing the third-party things on there like that, and stuff that isn't just based purely at kids. They are allowing like 18+ games onto the console.
well, that was their promise, isn't it? They didn't want to make the same mistake as the Wii U by bringing all these developers up on the screen saying this third party, developer, they're coming and they're going to release their game on the system, and then nothing got released, and then the Wii U got shelved. So like, at least they're keeping their promises. They're releasing good, strong third parties, and it's making people pick up Switches more and more because now they've got faith in the fact that like they can play primary releases from Nintendo, which are always great. Well, mostly great, and then they've got the third party releases as well that they can also play. So it's almost like it's about the sense of gaming community. Like you can have a Nintendo system and still be a part of the same conversations as everyone else playing the same third party games, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
I totally agree with you on that, and I like the fact that by picking up a Switch, so I buy I bought my Switch with the intention of playing Nintendo games on it, but you could play the odd third party game here and there for co-op and stuff, which is also like the intention I bought it for. But as
hmm
I've mentioned in previous episodes, that I actually find myself playing more indies on the Switch, and I like the fact that it gives indies a platform for that. But also, if you own a Switch, like as a Switch owner, you don't have to just stick to playing Nintendo games, and there's a variety of games that you can choose from, like on every other console. So by buying that console, you're not limited just to play a certain type of game. You're allowed to play the same games as everyone else on that console, like you've just said,
Yeah.
and have the same conversations. And I feel before with like a Wii or the Wii U, it really lacked having that. So having something like Nintendo exclusives on it, but then having the third party, in my opinion, is just the same as owning like a PlayStation, where you have Sony exclusives, PS4 exclusives, but you can also play the same games people play on PC or on Xbox.
Yeah, it's purely just down to personal preference, and that's the kind of sacrifices that Nintendo fans did have to make in the past. Like, yeah, they wanted a Nintendo console, but then they wouldn't necessarily get all the third party releases, or they would get half hearted third party releases on their system. But now it looks like that the developers are taking it seriously. The technology is easier to develop for than than previous Nintendo consoles, and I'm really happy with the way how it's going at the moment. And following up with the third party releases, they announced that Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, is coming out, and this is the first time the first three original Crash Bandicoots have been on a Nintendo system, which is just crazy. And those games are built for portable gaming. Like, they're such like just quick, easy games to play. Like, I have it on PlayStation 4, and it's an amazing game. They absolutely blew like right out of the water with the graphics, the way how they've revamped the mechanics, the music, everything is it's just so nostalgic, and I can't wait to play it on a Switch. So yeah, what do you think about Crash Bandicoot come to the Switch, Tom?
Um, Probably one of my favorite announcements from this Nintendo Direct. Um, Basically, the fact that I was going to pick this up on PlayStation, whether I liked it or not, and then I saw it was coming to PC, and I was like, maybe I'll pick it up on PC. Haven't picked it up yet, and I was like, when I got my Switch, I'd really like it to come to this because I could see myself playing it on this. And then the fact that they've announced it for it means I'm definitely going to wait until July 10th to buy it on the Switch, and I'll play it more on the Switch, I think, because I can always play it on the TV or I can take it with me. And that's the good thing with games like this, stuff that you can easily jump into and wherever you are. Something like a big open world game is nice to have that, but then there's a lot of times where you have a spare 10 minutes, you don't have time to jump into something like that. And it's nice to play, say, Crash Bandicoot, play a level of Crash Bandicoot. If you die, you can always just put it away and then continue with what you're doing. But yeah, say for example, you're in a waiting room and you're just waiting for something, or I don't know, you're on a short bus journey somewhere. You can easily pick it up, play one level, and then put it back down. And there's no need for you to sit and like force yourself to play it at home. You've got the choice where you can play it at home if you want to, but you can also just play it out and not ever play it at home. That's what I found myself doing with a lot of the games, like I've said before. I don't really play a lot of the indie games at home. I tend to come home and play my big AAA games at home, and then indie games or platformers I'll tend to play out on my Switch out and about.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I can see myself doing as well. It's like I have certain games which I would solely just play for just portable reasons, and then there's games obviously you would like to play more on like a home screen, like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. Both games that could easily be played portable as well, but I feel like in my personal opinion, I would like to play them on the big screen. Um, yeah, I think it's just crazy how first two crashes are going to be on a Nintendo system, and yeah, I can't wait to see how it plays and how it's going to be.
Yeah, so
Um,
with release dates and stuff like that, I just want to go back to Mario Tennis Aces here for a little bit. Crash comes out on July 10th, and Mario Tennis Aces comes out on June 22nd. So, like 3 weeks gap between those games, slightly different games, but again, I feel like Nintendo are having a solid game each month at the moment, and that's something that for me as a player, I get a good game each month, not just like an indie game that comes. A lot of indie games come to the Switch each month, but I mean like a solid game that I can pick up and what would basically be classed as like a AAA game still, even though Crash has got platform elements and Mario Tennis Aces is a bit of a sports game. They're still good quality
that
games.
there's those are still AAA because it's big budget. It's not an independent game. It's got a big publisher behind it. They're
Hmm.
definitely AAA games. It's just people get all torn up on what AAA means. They all think that has to mean photorealistic graphics and you know has to be the story has to be so deep and like so impressive. Like that's not a AAA game all the time. Like and we should know that, shouldn't we? Because we study game design, so we know that these games are still AAA in the sense of how the game's developed, the budget, the time, the planning must have went into it, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I don't think we
I
covered.
agree.
Yeah, I don't think we covered Mario Tennis Aces as much as we should have, as in development wise, and gameplay wise. So obviously we mentioned it had the story mode and the in-depth gameplay that it's got, but in that direct they announced a lot more details about Mario Tennis Aces and the different controls that you can play and the different ways you can play the game. So they've got an advanced control setting where you can do all advanced moves and you can play the game with an advanced perspective and you can go a little bit more in depth if you want to with that and make sure you time your shots right and stuff like that. Or you can play it simply, so you can just play it where you hit the ball as you play in tennis. You don't have to think about when to use a power up and when to do your shots and stuff like that. You can just play it as in a casual game. But then you've also got the ability that you can use the Joy-Cons as motion controllers, like you could do with Wii Sports. So picking up a game like that, it leads on to the fact that you've got the choice to play a game out of a selection of games, but by picking up a game that gives you the way to like different ways to play it, you've basically got 3 games in one there, or 4 games in one if you include the story mode, that you can play however you want, wherever you want, and that's the versatility of the console that they've currently got. You can pick up a game like I've done with Skyrim and play it with motion controls, or you can play it with a
Hmm.
controller. And Mario Tennis Aces, you can play, on your own single player with motion controls, advanced or simple. You can play it with your
Yeah.
friends with the same control schemes. You can choose which one you want. But it's also like you could play it as a party game, or you could play it as a single player game. And it's like what they do with Mario Kart, basically. That you have the ability to do that. But they're really sort of pushing the versatility of this console, and in my opinion now, like we mentioned with South Park coming to it and more third party games, it doesn't really have a target demographic anymore. It's basically just aiming it at gamers. They're not aiming
Yeah.
for kids, they're not aiming for adults, they're just aiming for people that love playing games. And I'm really, really happy that they're focused on doing that and not focused on just making sure people are coming to it because it's Nintendo. They're coming to it because it's got good games and it's a solid console that you can play in many different ways and include people that possibly don't normally play games in games at parties and things.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk over the actual schedule that they've got. So from March, current month, so March 16th, Kirby Star Allies comes out. And then April 24th, South Park comes out. May 25th, Dark Souls comes to the console. June 22nd, Mario Tennis Aces launches. And then July 10th, Crash Bandicoot is coming to the console. So that's, 5 games coming to a console in 5 months. Which is...
Yeah, it's about a game. It's about a game a month, and it's not even including the independent releases as well.
Yeah, so it's a big game a month, which is, I think, for a console is very important. I wouldn't say the market's oversaturated with big games on the console, which is good, but they're also looking at bringing a game to people each month that is a solid sort of AAA game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's third party or not, it's still a AAA game that is being ported to the console. And that's something that Nintendo consoles haven't had before. So there's currently more games released on the Switch than there was on the Wii U, I think. Or something stupid like that.
Well, already? That's already a stat.
I think already, or it might have been within the first year or something, but the fact that there's so many games on it compared to the previous console, the whole life cycle of the previous console, is just baffling to see how much they've put into third party this year. For the first year of the Nintendo Switch, and with the release of Dark Souls, they're really looking at pushing it even further. Is Dark Souls something that you think you would possibly play on a Nintendo Switch?
Oh yeah, of course. I would definitely play Dark Souls. I'm not too much of a big Dark Souls fan, but I know one of our friends, he's a massive Dark Souls fan, and he plays all of them, 1, 2, and 3, and he's played Bloodborne as well. Something come to the system, like I had never expected Dark Souls to be coming to the Switch, and for a fact that this is going to be popular. Then they're going to port number 2, and then they'll port number 3. Bloodborne obviously is a Sony exclusive, so that won't come to the Switch. But 1, 2, and 3, yeah, definitely will. And yeah, that's really cool for any Dark Souls fan that's out there, and people who haven't even had a chance to pick up Dark Souls. Maybe they will have a chance to play it in this format and setting, and they would enjoy it more. Because I know it's quite a hardcore and grueling game to get into. It's not for the faint-hearted. But yeah, I'm really happy that they've got a game like this on the system, because it just goes to show the versatility of the system and what type of audiences they're trying to I don't know what the word is. Trying to get at, they're just trying to get at different audiences, aren't they? They're just not trying to pinpoint themselves anymore, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, so there's no target demographic that they're setting themselves to. I think a lot of people assumed this was going to be a kids console when it came out, and with the announcement of Nintendo Labo in the last Direct, they're still there. They're still making stuff for kids, but with this Direct, it shows that they're not just focused on that. They are still focused on everything else for older generations that are playing the console.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
See, even the inclusion of an amiibo, so an Oscar of Astora amiibo, which is a Dark Souls amiibo, that's basically something that's saying, third parties are coming to us, but we're also sort of taking them in a little bit now, and we're not sticking to purely making Nintendo amiibos. The game's on our console. We can make an amiibo with it and use the amiibo, the sort of selling point of having an amiibo to put in the game and get that extra content in the game that you don't get on other platforms. And I think they've definitely got something different when games do come to the console that are third party. They can tweak them a little bit and put their own little spin on it. And
Yeah.
I think that's nice to have a different way to play that game. So you could, it might be a remaster of a game you've already played. And people will buy remasters no matter what, because it's nice to go back and play that game remastered. However, to go back and play that game with a slightly different aspect, so, the game's exactly the same, but you're just playing it portable, and you can use amiibos to get content in game. It's basically like a new game at that point then, because you get a different experience of playing the game.
Yeah, you do. Even though I was real apprehensive about the whole amiibo situation. I just thought, I don't really know, I felt it's a bit gimmicky. But at the same time, now that you've put it into this way, I kind of understand how it can give off unique gameplay features, and it can bring new things to the game that was never seen before. Because I don't even know how the amiibo technology works, but you scan in a little figurine or something, and then either that figurine appears in the game or it does something to the game to alter it in a way, which is really cool. And I felt now that third parties come in and they're starting to embrace them, we can see a lot more cool third party games that are unique and have unique features inside of them that you can't get on any other consoles. Say, for example, on the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 games, they just both have the same game. It's very standard. But the Nintendo edition will have something extra special in there, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's good for the console's lifespan. Is another thing. It's only a year into the console, but obviously we saw the Wii U died pretty quickly after release. However, the Switch just seems to be getting stronger every month or so.
Oh yeah, it's definitely on the Nintendo Wii climb. It's that the Wii success was massive, and the Switch is it's overshadowed the Wii now. It is one of the biggest systems. I keep seeing more and more people have them now. They're popping up more and more everywhere. People are using them portably. I think it's really cool. The only downfall, obviously, that I thought of the Switch was I thought that third party support was going to be weak, but they've proved me wrong, and I'm glad they proved me wrong, because everyone just wants to see Nintendo win at the end of the day. No one does not want to see Nintendo lose. They're the OGs in the game. No one wants to see Nintendo lose, but I'm glad. I'm glad they're bringing third party support, and they're bringing strong first party titles as well. But moving on, Octopath Traveller. Now, I played the demo to this game the other day, because one of my friends at uni has a Switch, and the game, wow, I've got no words because it's amazing. I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's 3D pixel art, and it's I don't know how it works, but it's just magical. The soundtrack was amazing. Just everything about it was just so it just somehow it captured so much magic within one game, and it was really, really cool. And I really can't wait to play the full version. And this is the game that I saw and I was like, that's it, that's the one. I need to get a Nintendo Switch because I need to play this game. And it's got co-op, and it just looks great graphically. It's amazing. They made Pixar art look so unique and so beautiful. I've just never seen anything like it before. I don't know if you have, Tom. I don't know if you've seen anything like this, but I know I haven't.
Art style wise, I can't remember anything that I've seen that does look like this. And like you said, the fact that it is pixel art, but it somehow looks really good. It looks amazing. I'm not entirely sure how they've done it in certain ways, but I haven't played the game myself. I haven't had a chance to download the demo and play it yet, but it does look interesting, and it's something that I don't think would possibly work as well on another console. But like you said, after you played it, it's one of those games that it doesn't look from the outside to someone that is just a typical consumer. It doesn't look like the best game in the world because it doesn't have amazing 3D graphics that they want and things like that. But to a gamer that picks this up and plays it on a Switch console, it could be the selling point. And like you said, it's a game that you've picked up and it basically turned your opinion, as in you were going to get one anyway, but now you really need to get one because of this game.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure what the game is about. I haven't done much research into it. I know that you have 8 different stories with 8 different characters. The title for me was a little bit confusing. Octo. To me, it means like I read that as like octopus, but obviously Octo means 8 because of the 8 different stories.
But it's like 8 paths. Like Octopath is like 8 paths. But also, I think each letter of the word Octopath is a character name as well.
Okay.
So they've only announced 4 characters at the moment. But I'm sure that's what it is. Like, it's each letter of them is going to be a name. But also they've got 8 different characters, 8 stories, so 8 paths, so Octopath. It's just really cool, and I can't wait. You really need to play that demo, man, because it blew my mind. I had no idea how they even did it. Like, even from like a standpoint, like looking at it out from like a design standpoint, I had no idea how they did it. Like, I don't even know what engine it's running on. It just looks crazy. But yeah, I'm very looking forward to that game. Sushi Striker. You looking forward to that, Tom? Maybe no.
So yeah, we I'm not. See, I can see why someone would be interested to play this game.
No, it was made for the 3DS. It was
Yeah.
originally made for the 3DS. Why are they releasing it on the Nintendo? No.
It's one of those 3DS ports, isn't it? But this is the thing, right? There's a lot of games on the Nintendo Switch that are mobile ports.
Oh no, it's not. It's not a port. It's not a port. It was originally announced for the 3DS. It didn't go to the 3DS. They made it into a Switch title.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of games that are like mobile ports, or games that were originally designed with mobile in mind that are on the Switch. This, to me, looks like one of those games. It was designed with a 3DS in mind, and then they've made it on the Switch. And it sort of works, but it doesn't look unique or anything like that. And why it's called Sushi Striker, the way of Shishido, and it's got story elements to it, and it's literally just I don't even know what to explain the gameplay as. It's
you have to eat the sushi, and then like you build up plates, and then you shoot like the enemy on the other side. I was just like, but why? Like,
but basically, it's a fast match 3 style game that will largely appeal to the mobile gaming crowd. Yeah, that's what I'm reading on the screen, and that's what it is. It's basically like a glorified Candy Crush with sushi, you could say. It's not really something that I'm interested in buying, and to be honest, it doesn't look like something that should be coming to a console unless it's cheap. We don't know the price yet, so.
Well, it's coming out on both systems on the same day. It's both coming out on June 8th for both the 3DS and the Switch. I just don't really know why they had to release for the Switch as well. They should have just kept it on the 3DS.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to release it on the Switch with its design with the 3DS in mind, especially on the same day. They're both handheld consoles. I understand that someone might want to play it on a Switch and not a 3DS, but I don't see the appeal for this game being as big as anything else.
Yeah.
But they
But see, this is starting to show though that I'm seeing more and more 3DS games being either ported to the Switch or they're gonna come to the Switch and like coincide release. So I feel like 3DS owners should be really not scared, but like I feel like maybe like not many games are gonna come to the 3DS now because people had the 3DS in mind, but they're probably thinking, oh, we could just make it for the Switch instead because it might sell more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I personally don't think the 3DS is going to be supported much longer after 2019. Um, they've got to wait, obviously, for the Switch to gain that sort of area of the market. But I think once the main game Pokemon's are coming to the Switch, I think the 3DS is basically going to be sort of put to the side. Like the DS has had a really good run, and it's been the leading handheld console for so long. But now they've got this hybrid console. Nintendo can really push to take over both markets, and I think that's what they're going to try and do. Um,
Yeah, same.
it's not necessarily a bad thing for 3DS owners. The Switch was known to be a handheld console, so if you did buy a 3DS in the last year, you probably should have considered your options a little bit better. Unless you bought it literally just for Pokemon, then it's understandable. But they're not too expensive. I still think you can get a few good years out of them of releases, and you can still use the console after games trickle out anyway. There's no reason why you
Yeah.
can't do that. So, I just think that they're going to invest more in the Switch, and that'll take over their handheld spot in the market. But speaking about another game that is already on the Switch and not on the 3DS, that's Splatoon 2. Now this got an Octo expansion. Again, and confusing because it's not to do with 8 things. I don't think.
Yeah, but it's to do with like
Oh
the
no,
whole
sorry, it is to do with 8 things.
yeah
It's to do with Agent 8. But
yeah
this
Agent. It's to
this is
do with
where
Agent 8 and also
yeah
an
this
octopus as well. Like that's what it's like.
this is where having the word Octo gets a little bit confusing. But it looks really good in my opinion. Splatoon's never been something that I've been really interested in. Um, it looks fun. Do I think I'd play it? Probably not. This single player thing that is included in the expansion, a single player campaign, looks really interesting to me. I'm not sure why it looks interesting, but it I wasn't interested in it before, and now I've seen that I'm really interested in buying Splatoon just to play the DLC.
Yeah, exactly. Like the trailer was this like it was done really well. I don't know what it was about the trailer, but like it was just really cool and like I was just like, oh, okay, I didn't know Splatoon was like this. I thought it was just like some really like I don't know.
Yeah, so
I
it
thought it was some
was
real like corny stuff. Like I was like Splatoon, like
it was basically like it's a shooter, isn't it? Like an online multiplayer
yeah,
shooter. And then they tried to at the release of the Switch with Splatoon and stuff, they're trying to push Splatoon as this big esport game. And now they're releasing this DLC and it's single player stuff. And I wasn't expecting that, but weirdly I'm happy about it because I've wanted to play Splatoon, but I don't feel like I'd get enough out of the multiplayer.
yeah,
And with something like the single player, I could definitely see myself playing that as a single player because I like the mechanics and stuff. I just never really saw a game mode that was for me within the game, and I'd like to see how you can take those mechanics and make it single player because obviously it's got the shooting elements to it, but I feel like there's going to be a lot more that you can do with the mechanics of shooting, paint, and diving within single player. And it is, in my opinion, it's going to be something that is really fun and different to play.
yeah, exactly. I felt like that was their idea anyway. They wanted to bring a single player expansion because multiplayer is very much the focus in Splatoon. But we'll have to see what it's going to be like when it comes out. I think that when does that land? Expansion 1?
So they haven't
Um,
actually announced a release date for the expansion. They just
is
said
it
it's
just
coming in the
summer?
summer. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's summertime.
there is a new free update that they said is coming as well in April that adds over I think it's over 100 outfits, a few new maps, and some other content. And
Yeah, that's like Splatoon 2 3.0, I think, is the
yeah, so
version.
that's version
Yeah,
3, and
yeah.
that again,
But
good sort of update for a game like that you'd buy for 50, 60 quid at launch, and then they continue to update it a year later with, say, a lot of content. Even though they're releasing this paid DLC, you can still get free
hmm
content for the game if you don't want to pay for the DLC. I think that's good. They're not just looking at getting more money off people, they're still looking at updating first party games that people have bought over periods of time.
yeah. But yeah, well, we've got the last game we want to talk about is it's a big one. Smash Bros got announced in a teaser trailer that was really dramatic, by the way. Like, I don't know if you thought it was dramatic, but shit was dramatic.
Yeah, so
Um,
I thought it was Splatoon. I
yeah, it was like we seen the what do they call them, Octolings or whatever. We seen them like the two of them like playing, and I was just like, wait a minute, we just got like a whole 10-minute segment on Splatoon and like the expansion and version 3.0. Like, what is this trailer again? And we see something in the distance on fire, and we see the entire cast of Smash Bros. People we can't figure out who's in the cast or the roster, but I'm guessing that's a hint to all the characters are going to be in the game. It's probably going to be its biggest roster yet. We're probably going to get some really cool third party cameo appearances in this game as well from God knows who we're going to get a cameo appearance from, because they've got so many third parties that are on board now with the Nintendo Switch that we could see anyone in that game. And yeah, I'm really excited. That was the big one of Nintendo Direct. I didn't see it coming at all at the end, and it's coming out in 2018 as well. Nintendo know what they're doing still.
yeah, I'm excited to play this game. Obviously we know that Link, Mario, and the Inklings are on the roster because they're in the trailer. But I'm not sure who else I'd want in it, to be honest. Third party wise, Crash Bandicoot maybe. Is that why it's been announced now? He would
I don't
fit
know.
he would fit within.
Yeah, Crash could be in there. Definitely could be in there, but it depends if they've got the license for him. Um,
So
I don't know. I don't know
the
who
other
else.
thing that I thought was they're making a Dark Souls amiibo. Does that mean something is gonna be inside Smash Brothers? You can
I think. I think yeah. I think like let's speculate. Let's speculate. Who do you think would be the most likely to be on Smash Bros? Like who not third party. Yeah, third party wise. Forget first party because we could be here all day naming people.
Yeah, so first party I think is pretty self-explanatory, all the big names, but third party, I think Dark Souls is looking the most likely candidate, and then behind that, Crash Bandicoot, just because of the fact that Crash is that nostalgic character, and it fits
hmm
nicely into all the Nintendo characters that are already in Smash Bros. That are quite nostalgic. He come out around, well, just after the same time as some of them, so it fits within that. But then Dark Souls, the fact they're making an amiibo and there's that partnership there between Dark Souls and Nintendo,
hmm
that's already in place, and they've made they've had a license to make amiibos using the Dark Souls franchise. Now, does that mean that included in that deal was the possibility to include something in Smash Brothers? Because
We don't know.
it may make sense.
It would make sense. I think yeah. I think it's fair to say we could speculate that Dark Souls or a character from Dark Souls will be included, but it just depends because obviously, in Dark Souls it's a custom character that you make, so I'm thinking it's probably going to be a notable character, maybe even a notable like boss or something that could be included in the game in some way. I'm trying to think like other third parties. I think Akami possibly.
I don't think
Amaterasu
Akami would be in the lineup, to be honest. I feel like it's not dated, but I don't feel like it would fit as well as something like Dark Souls or Crash.
See, I'll probably have to disagree because I felt like Akami would fit in there. I don't know why, but I can see myself playing Amaterasu in Smash Bros. But I don't know if if you feel like you wouldn't see the fit in there. I feel like there would, but it's purely speculation anyway. Probably won't end up being in there, but I would like to see Amaterasu in the game.
Yeah. The other thing is, we don't know if it's a new game or not.
Nah, definitely new game. I'm gonna put a bet on it. That's definitely a new Smash Bros. They wouldn't bring out a re-release of the Wii U one. There's no point.
So the thing is, they're obviously porting a lot of Wii U games. They're porting Captain Toad's Treasure Chest or whatever it's called, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, both Wii U ports. Smash Brothers as a Wii U port would make sense because of that.
Well, yeah, but remember,
it also means it's less work for them to get a game out.
What I don't know what they're called. I know like are they Octolings, Inklings? I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, they're called Inklings. Yeah,
I don't think they were in the last Smash Bros.
That doesn't mean they can't add it. Is it like a remaster?
Yeah, but that'd be silly. That would be silly to add them. It's not going to be. It'll be a brand new Smash Bros. I'm guarantee you, it's going to be a Smash. Oh yeah, are the Inklings in there? Oh, the Inklings.
So
the Inklings were in Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. Yeah.
Yeah, and Link is from. I think it's the Link from Hyrule Warriors. That is.
No, it's not. It's the Link from Breath of the Wild. So that's why I think it's going to be it's a new Smash Bros.
But on the Nintendo website, it does say. So I'm looking at the Nintendo Direct announcements on their website. It does say Nintendo Switch Super Smash Brothers (brackets working title). So that means they've not got a title for the game yet, which means it could be a new game. Titles that don't normally have games that don't normally have a title and have a working title, they're more likely to be new games. However, it doesn't mean that we can't have something like Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Just being the fact that it's a port from the Wii U. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it is a Wii U game, but they've just added a few more things and made it, remastered it a little bit to work on a Nintendo Switch. Sort of like a...
Yeah, but see, I would think that it's going to be a brand new game just on the reason alone how everything else that was a Wii U port, they would say is a Wii U port. So what reason does Nintendo have to keep this a secret that it's not a Wii U port?
That's true.
That's why I think it's a brand new Smash Bros. Game. They rarely as well like re-release the Smash Bros. Like they wouldn't do that. Every Smash Bros. Game that's come out on every console, so from Nintendo 64 to GameCube to Wii to Wii U and 3DS, they've all been brand new Smash Bros. Entries. Never a re-release, never a rehash. Totally with different balancing, different characters, different items, different levels, different story mode. So, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a brand new Smash Bros. But you could be right. It could be a port, but I think it's going to be a brand new one.
So yeah, they haven't released any other details apart from that. The official website literally just says Super Smash Bros. 2018.
Yeah, we're going to see some.
We do know it's
We're
set
going to
to
see
come
something.
out. Yeah, I think it's they're probably looking to release it end of this year, just before.
That's a Christmas release. Well, for the holidays.
I'm not sure if they announced the date for it. I don't think they did.
No date, just 2018.
I think they'll look to do something around Christmas or November time. I think November time is where they'd probably look to aim.
Mm-hmm.
But I've not been a big player of Super Smash Brothers because when I used the Wii, I didn't use my Wii for that, and I didn't have a GameCube and I didn't have a Wii U, so I've not really had the chance to experience playing it as much. I have played it, but for me, it's not overly massive. If it is a port, I'd be happy to pick up a Wii U port and play that, and that'd be fine with me. But I do think, like you said, it possibly won't be a port, and I think if they do port something over without saying, people might get a little bit angry with them, with the fact that they've built up all this hype and then gone, okay, here's like a remaster of the Wii U version.
Yeah, which is why I feel like Nintendo have nothing to hide, and they're not ones to be doing shady shit like that. That's usually Xbox and Sony, So I feel like they would have said by now if it was a Wii U port. But as I said, could be wrong. It could be a port, but I feel like it really isn't a port. But yeah, I'm really excited as well to see Smash Bros. I think that's about everything. You got anything else to say?
So there's just a few things. Obviously we haven't covered games like Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, Captain Toad, Little Nightmares, Hyrule Warriors, Undertale as well is coming to Nintendo Switch. Which
yes, Undertale.
We didn't mention. Haven't actually played Undertale on PlayStation on PC, and I probably will look at picking it up when it comes. But again, they didn't release any.
It's on PlayStation as well, isn't it? It's on PlayStation as well. Undertale.
So they basically just said coming soon, eventually, which means it could be 2019 until the game comes out on Switch. So it's nice to know that it's coming, but it's not something that I'm going to hold hope over and wait patiently for. Other things is Mario Tennis Aces and ARMS. They're doing like invitation games now. So Mario Tennis Aces, before the game releases, they're going to do an online, basically a beta test, and you can play it. And then if you like the game, you can go ahead and buy it, But they haven't released any details on when the date would be for that. They just said we are really doing like a pre-launch tournament online for a few days only, and you can play that, and then it comes offline, and then it gives you a little example of what's coming for the game when it does release. So they're not trying to make people go out and buy a Mario Tennis game if they don't think they're going to like it. So if people are interested in the game, they can play it beforehand, see what they feel, and then have the opinion that they can go and buy it, or they might play it and say, I don't really like that. And I think it's quite good. It's something that I don't think Nintendo have really done before, beta testing wise. But not even beta testing, just sort of giving people more detail about the game and letting them play it. So it's normally just been demos and stuff, but this is something new for them to have this online pre-launch tournament, basically.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, definitely. And I've seen the ARMS one as well. The ARMS one is think it's actually like a real tournament, and then it's going to be streamed on like Nintendo HQ or something like that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
so it's an
Arms is still going strong as well.
so Arms is a online open. That's basically like their big esport that they're pushing at the moment, Nintendo. So ranked matches on March 8th to 18th, and then online finals are on March 31st. So it's a big US and Canada online open, which I think is quite cool. It's if you do have that game and you enjoy playing it, it does work well as an esport, and they're actually, instead of just saying play this game online and we want it to be an esport, they're actually like putting it out there themselves and trying to make something with it of an esport.
Yeah, because even like I know you said that like you think it works as an esport. I'm just like, eh. Well, obviously, I only really watch like fighting games. So like, and when I mean fighting games, I mean that into like the traditional sense. So Street Fighter and Marvel and Dragon Ball and stuff like that. Like, but I can see how it can be seen as esports. I personally, I'm not really interested in Arms at all. Well, I see why other people are interested in it, and good that Nintendo are supporting their games for that format, like an esports format. But yeah, that's about it. There's a Nindies next week, so we'll probably be covering that. And then not in the next episode, but we'll recover it in the episode after. Yeah, that's about it. Nintendo Direct, it was a very strong one, and I can't wait to get my hands on a Switch. Yeah, that's about it. Tom, you got any final words?
The only final words I have, once again, if you are listening, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. We do appreciate it. And if you have got this far and you enjoyed it, then please leave a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or leave a comment down on YouTube and just sort of show your support. Make sure you do leave a proper review on iTunes, as it does help us. So it's nice to rate it and everything, and we do appreciate people rating the podcast, but leaving a worded review will really help sort of get the exposure that we want, and we want people to come and listen and build a community.
Yeah, just to reiterate on what Tom was saying. I couldn't get my fucking words out then. Just to reiterate on what Tom was saying, yeah, that would be a really big help if you leave us a worded review. It gets us exposure into the iTunes podcast page, and it really pushes us, kind of like how likes do for YouTube videos. Like, it will really get us out there. And yeah, follow our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page. We have everything. Yeah, that's about it really. Yeah, just keep an eye on our social medias as well for when we do posts, because we've got an exciting few things we're going to announce alongside with the next podcast. But yeah, thanks for listening as usual. Really appreciate it. Like, we never thought that we would ever be doing this, and we made it happen, and we both enjoy it immensely. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
If you liked any of the music in today's show, then please search for Razy K on SoundCloud.